In just 1 month, U.S. product sales in Canada have plummeted nearly 20% as Canadian consumers reject American goods in favor of locally made products. This shift is a direct response to the harsh tariff policies implemented by U.S. President Donald Trump. His administration's 25% tax on most Canadian imports and a 10% tariff on energy products triggered an immediate backlash, not only from the Canadian government, but also from businesses and consumers alike. As a result, the economic impact extends beyond Canada, shaking global trade relationships. Countries worldwide are reassessing their reliance on U.S. imports, leading to long-term consequences for American businesses. This report delves into the origins, effects, and broader implications of this economic shift. The response from Canadians has been swift and decisive. A recent survey shows that 85% of Canadian consumers now prefer locally made products over American imports. This sentiment is reshaping shopping habits across the country. Supermarkets prominently display signs urging consumers to shop Canadian, and apps like Buy Beaver, which allows users to scan product origins, have surged past 35,000 downloads in just 2 weeks. Major American brands, including Coca-Cola, Apple, and McDonald's, are feeling the effects. U.S. imports, ranging from food and cosmetics to clothing and household goods, are being pushed off store shelves in favor of Canadian alternatives. The auto industry is also experiencing a shift, with Toyota and Honda sales rising, while Ford and General Motors struggle to maintain their market share. Canadian businesses are rapidly adapting to this consumer-driven movement. Farmers and manufacturers are increasing production to replace U.S. goods, while retailers are restructuring supply chains to prioritize domestic and international alternatives. Online marketplaces in Canada are also seeing a surge in demand for local products, further reducing dependence on American imports. This economic shift is not just a temporary protest, but a permanent realignment of trade relations. Countries worldwide are following Canada's lead, reassessing their dependence on U.S. imports. In Europe, nations such as Germany and France are reviewing trade agreements to diversify their supply chains away from American products. Meanwhile, multinational corporations are restructuring their operations, seeking suppliers in Canada, Asia, and South America. China, seizing the opportunity to challenge U.S. economic dominance, is aggressively strengthening trade ties with Canada. Beijing has increased imports of Canadian goods and invested heavily in Canadian businesses to expand supply chains, thereby reducing its reliance on the U.S. New trade agreements between Canada and Asian markets are accelerating, bypassing traditional American influence. The repercussions for American businesses are undeniable. Stock market analysts are warning of long-term consequences for major U.S. brands as exports face sharp declines. Countries are actively looking for alternative suppliers, and global investors are showing renewed interest in Canadian industries, boosting market confidence. Beyond trade, the backlash is also affecting the tourism industry. Canadian travelers are boycotting U.S. destinations, with travel agencies reporting a sharp increase in canceled trips. Many tourists are now opting for vacations in Europe or other international destinations instead of visiting the U.S. According to the Canadian Economic Research Centre and CIBC, this could cost the U.S. up to $2 billion in lost tourism revenue, with an estimated 10% decrease in Canadian visitors. Additionally, American businesses in Canada are struggling to adapt. Starbucks, Walmart, and McDonald's have closed multiple locations due to declining sales, while U.S. law firms and banks are losing contracts as Canadian companies withdraw from partnerships. In response, American companies are scrambling to adjust pricing and supply chains to regain Canadian market trust. The tensions between the U.S. and Canada stem from a series of aggressive trade policies enacted by the Trump administration. In 2018, Trump threatened to impose tariffs on $12 billion worth of Canadian goods, targeting key industries such as aluminum, steel, and automobiles. While international pressure eventually forced him to back down, the damage to U.S.-Canada relations was already done. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump publicly shared an article suggesting the annexation of Canada as the 51st U.S. state. This statement was perceived as an insult to Canadian sovereignty and national pride, further fueling resistance against American policies. What began as a trade dispute quickly escalated into a larger battle over cultural and economic independence. The Canadian government responded by implementing counter-tariffs on $155 billion CAD worth of U.S. goods, affecting agriculture, steel, automobiles, and consumer products. Another critical area of tension is energy trade. Canada is one of the largest suppliers of oil, natural gas, and electricity to the U.S., playing a crucial role in stabilizing American energy markets. However, new tariffs imposed by the U.S. have disrupted this balance. Canada exports more than 4.42 million barrels of oil to the U.S. daily, accounting for 60% of total U.S. oil imports. American refineries rely on Canada's heavy crude oil, as domestic U.S. production is largely focused on lighter oil. A disruption in Canadian oil supply would force the U.S. to seek alternative sources from the Middle East, leading to higher costs and greater market instability. Similarly, Canada supplies nearly 8.5 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day to the U.S., ensuring a stable supply, particularly for northern states during winter. If Canada were to reduce exports, American gas prices would skyrocket, impacting millions of households and businesses. Power plants that rely on Canadian natural gas for electricity generation would be at risk of blackouts, with states like New York and Michigan suffering the most. Canada is also a major electricity supplier to the U.S., with provinces such as Quebec and Ontario exporting billions of kilowatt-hours annually to stabilize power grids in states like New York and New England. Any disruption in this energy trade would lead to widespread power shortages and increased costs for businesses and consumers alike. The automotive industry is another sector experiencing significant disruptions. In response to U.S. tariffs, Canada has proposed a 100% tariff on Tesla vehicles, which would dramatically increase their cost in the Canadian market. If enacted, the price of a Tesla Model 3, currently priced at around $40,000, could rise to $80,000, making it unaffordable for most consumers. Tesla, which holds about 70% of the U.S. electric vehicle market, could suffer major losses if this policy is implemented. Investors are already concerned about stock value declines, and Tesla's expansion plans in North America may be jeopardized. Furthermore, the ripple effects would extend to the broader North American auto industry, disrupting supply chains and leading to job losses across the sector. Canada, meanwhile, is opening its doors to European electric vehicle manufacturers, providing a significant boost to companies such as Volkswagen and BMW. This shift further weakens the dominance of U.S. automakers in the region and accelerates the diversification of Canada's auto market. The trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada are no longer just about tariffs. They represent a fundamental shift in global economic dynamics. As Canada leads the charge in reducing reliance on American goods, the movement is spreading worldwide. Countries are diversifying their supply chains. Multinational corporations are seeking new trade partners, and global investors are increasingly turning to Canadian industries. With the economic landscape shifting, the U.S. must reconsider its approach to trade. If tensions persist, the consequences could be severe, not just for American businesses, but for the entire global economy. Canada has demonstrated that it will not be bullied into submission, and its ability to mobilize consumers and businesses in response to protectionist policies has sent a strong message. National sovereignty and economic independence will always come first. The question now remains, will the U.S. adapt, or will it continue down a path of economic isolation? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The balance of power in global trade is changing, and Canada is at the forefront of this transformation.